Ladies and gentlemen, WJRJ Television presents A Salute to Israel on her 22nd anniversary. Good evening. I'm Joel Newman. The major portion of tonight's program will be devoted to two scenic color films, Back Home and Independence Day Parade. For those viewers who still think that Israel is a Middle Eastern wasteland irritatingly creeping into power politics, or a backward desert nation possessing a third-rate culture, we think we have a pleasant surprise. For our films tonight will give the lie to such preconceived notions. Israel is a splendid blend of the old and the new, tradition and progress, a land of inestimable beauty, and a nation whose social progress in a mere 22 years could well serve as a beacon for all the so-called developing countries of the world. Atlanta's Mayor Sam Massell has recently returned from Israel along with a group of mayors from around the United States, and before he left, he was kind enough to sit before our cameras.
Tomorrow marks the 22nd anniversary of independence of the State of Israel, a day on which freedom-loving people everywhere, and particularly the people of America, have reason to rejoice. This valiant young nation, sole stronghold of democracy in the Middle East, holds deep meaning for us in many ways. Not the least of these, perhaps, is the reflection of our own past that we see so clearly as we visit Israel, as we come to know her way of life, her people, her background, and her hopes. We in America have learned something of what it means to achieve independence. Our forefathers, too, came from all parts of the world, tired, poor, in search of religious liberty and a better way of life. They, too, came seeking peace, only to learn that they would have to fight for it. In the Galilee and other parts of Israel today, you can see farm settlements built in concentric circles like the wagon train villages of our western plains, built so for exactly the same reason, protection. She too has had her Lexingtons and Concords and her Minutemen. Their names were different. Their purpose was the same. The early settlers of our land came with their Bibles in their hands and in their hearts and in their minds as well, confident that they could build a new Jerusalem, a Jerusalem of the Spirit here in America. 22 years ago, another people, equally determined and equally dedicated to the principles of democracy, proclaimed a new Jerusalem in Jerusalem itself. We congratulate them on this anniversary of their statehood, and we join with them in the fervent prayer for peace.
Mayor Sam Massell speaking before his recent trip to Israel. This is a salute to Israel on the occasion of her 22nd anniversary. I'm sure our next guest now will be quite familiar to you. Now, the Israel Ministry of Tourism established around the United States tourism committees to promote travel to Israel. Mrs. Rothschild, wife of Rabbi Rothschild, is head of the Atlanta Tourism Committee for Israel.
The best way to help Israel celebrate the 22nd anniversary of her independence is to make plans to visit her. It is also the best way to ensure that she will have future anniversaries to celebrate. Her enemies would have the world believe that Israel is a nation besieged, tense, beset with terror in her cities as well as on her borders. You have to see it for yourself to realize how little truth there is in this impression. If you believe it, you are, in effect, assisting Israel's enemies in their attempt to strangle her. I have just returned from there only a few weeks ago, and I can tell you that the life you see around you is more peaceful than what you see right here at home. There is far less tension in the air, far less incidents of violence in the land of Israel than there is right here in our own beloved country. It is a beautiful land to visit. When I was there, the Galilee was aglow with spring flowers, wildflowers, splashing color against the gray-green hills. People were excitedly discussing such things as the opening of the new Hebrew National Theater in Tel Aviv, the expected appearance of Pablo Casals at the annual Israel Festival during July and August, the miraculous relief from asthma recently discovered at Arad, the new development town overlooking the Dead Sea. They were busy building, playing host to businessmen from more than 15 nations who had come to invest capital in expanding Israel's facilities for tourism. They seemed preoccupied with the possibilities for tomorrow, even though they were occupied with the necessities, the grim necessities of today. Perhaps we could learn a lesson from them, but that is not the reason we should go. Nor are the shrines, the history, the visible foundations of our faith, whether it be Jewish or Christian, nor even that Israel needs us. That is a very important reason to go, but it's not the most important. I could give you many, many reasons why you should visit Israel this year, but I can give you no better one than simply to enjoy. Won't you join me in helping Israel celebrate her 22nd anniversary?
Mrs. Rothschild, head of the Atlanta Tourism Committee for Israel, speaking this evening, this Sunday evening, on the 22nd anniversary of the founding of the State of Israel. This program is a salute to Israel on her 22nd anniversary. And I think you'll agree with me that we all have a lot to learn about Israel from. Mr. Moshe Gilboa is with us this evening by way of film in his capacity as Consul General for the southeastern region of the United States. Mr. Gilboa stresses in this next sequence the understanding that the South, that is the southern part of the United States, has always shown for the Israeli cause.
We had traditional friendly ties, and we really enjoyed the support of the citizens and the leaders of the southeast region of the United States. We shall never forget the thrilling articles of Ronald McGill on the Constitution asking for understanding for the case of Israel. Senator Russell and Senator Talmadge were voicing support for our case in the Senate. And the late Martin Luther King was in support of the very emergence of the people of the Bible as an independent state in the land of the Bible. I would like to re-emphasize our great desire for growing friendship between the southeast area of the United States in general and the Atlanta citizens in particular. Let us strive together towards a better world, towards a world where men will be free, when people will rest at peace, and when everything will be done in order to maintain the word of the Bible in the hearts and in the actions of mankind.
Mr. Moshe Gilboa, Consul General for the southeastern region of the United States, speaking to us tonight on our special program. And speaking to us now about vital statistics and Israel's need for foreign investment is a gentleman who is no stranger to our hot lights at WJRJ, Mr. Eliezer Niv, Regional Director of the Investment and Export Authority for the State of Israel.
Although the State of Israel is a young country, only 22 years old, its economy went a long way since the state was established. A yearly increase of about 9 to 10% in the productivity. The gross national product increased since the state was born for about 5 times as much as it was in 1950. And all this while the country struggled in many fronts, militarily, politically, education, and integration of newcomers into the country. All these factors had tremendous influence on the economy of the State of Israel. However, the industry has grown during the last year alone for about 25%, and Israel now is capable to sell in the most competitive markets of the world a variety of products made in this country. We sell in United States for about $150 million worth of merchandise last year, and we hope even to exceed this amount during this year. During the last year, the gap between the export and the import was in favor of import, of course. Twice as much we bought merchandise than we were able to sell. And this is true, these relative figures are true about our trade relations with the United States. Government of Israel provides new investors with many incentives, such as tax limitation, cash grant, loans, participation in training of labor, and we believe that the new investments in Israel will enable the country to export more and to cross out this terrible deficit in the balance of trade, in the international balance of trade, which is caused mainly by the tremendous military needs that we have at the moment.
Mr. Eliezer Niv last spoke with us at WJRJ on the occasion of the Israel on Tour exhibit several months ago here in Atlanta. There's industry and investment on the one hand, tourism on the other. Moshe Shoshani, director for the southern states of the Israel Government Tourist Office, now stresses the interplay of history and modern technology in the everyday life of 22-year-old Israel.
When you speak about Israel, you speak about the land of the Bible, about the land where the three big religions were born: Judaism, Christianity, and the Islam. When people ask us, what should I take with me whenever I go to Israel, we say, take with you the Bible, because the Bible is still the best guidebook for Israel. In other words, the Bible becomes alive whenever you visit the country. Still, Jerusalem, Beersheba, Jaffa, and all those places mentioned in the Bible are there, and you can see them. But Israel, in the last 22 years of independence, became also a modern country. A modern country where you can see modern buildings, modern roads, where the industry is developed, and so on and so forth. So we are very proud about it. We are very proud, and we would like the people of the world to come and see what happens in our country. We would like you to become one of those visitors who are going to see not only the land of the Bible, the old Israel, but to come and see modern Israel. Thank you.
Mr. Moshe Shoshani, director of the Southern States Israel Government Tourist Office, speaking on this commemorative program, saluting the anniversary, the 22nd anniversary of the birthday of the nation of Israel. I think it only proper at this time that we introduce to you Mr. Yitzhak Rabin, who is the United States Ambassador to Israel, directly from Washington in a film especially prepared for WJRJ. Here is Mr. Rabin.
It gives me a great pleasure on the behalf of the government and the people of Israel to extend to you all my warm greetings on the Independence Day of Israel, its 22nd Independence Day. The challenge facing Israel at this time cannot be cloud the sense of joy and the thanksgiving we all feel in marking to appropriate celebration the revival of our freedom and independence in our homeland after 20 centuries of exile and homelessness. The experience of those 2,000 years, so frequently marked by persecution and slaughter, have left an indelible imprint upon the people of Israel. They have induced within us an obsession for liberty and a determination to build our revived independence in a democracy and dignity. It has also indoctrinated within us a constant craving for peace, which has been the hallmark of Israel's policy from the day we declared our sovereign independence just 22 years ago. In recent weeks, Israel finds itself confronted by the Soviet military menace. We recognize it for what it is, a brutal policy of aggression directed at the security and the integrity of a small democratic nation. The Soviet design, in support of the aggressive attrition policies of their allies, will not deter us from our firm resolve to defend ourselves with all our might, nor will it deter us from our resolve to achieve a true and lasting peace. On this anniversary of our independence, the people of Israel draw encouragement and strength from the broad display of support addressed to it by people of goodwill everywhere, in support of our resolve to continue building in freedom, looking towards the day of peace, which we all pray, the day of Shalom.
Mr. Yitzhak Rabin, Israeli ambassador to the United States, and I correct myself on that issue. And that was filmed especially for us at the embassy in Washington, D.C. We now present a gentleman who really enjoys being on television, Mr. Aaron Shorer, Regional Director of the Israel Aliyah Center Incorporated of the Southern States. His appearance tonight is a switch for him because he's usually on the other side of the microphone holding it for someone in his capacity as newsman. Mr. Shorer is speaking about the rise in immigration to Israel.
Last year, about 40,000 newcomers. And this year, 1970, we're expecting to come to Israel about 60,000, 10,000 of them from the United States. Therefore, we opened many offices in the United States to promote and to help people to go to Israel, to tell them how much and how many benefits and how we can assist them by going to Israel and open new life.
Good to see you again, Mr. Shorer. Mr. Max Rittenbaum, who is Vice President of the Atlanta Jewish Welfare Federation, makes a brief statement now concerning the fact that each immigrant to Israel finds there a sense of personal dignity. And by the way, Mr. Rittenbaum appears on behalf of Atlanta's Israel Anniversary Celebration Committee, of which he is chairman.
This Mideast haven of democracy has always kept its gate open to anyone seeking freedom. Those of us who have been fortunate enough to visit Israel have noticed with joyful pride the accomplishments of this tiny democracy. In Israel, personal dignity is assured for every inhabitant.
Do you think anybody's scared by the headlines?
I don't think so, because the fact that more tourists came this summer than last summer, and they are coming again and will have a very good fall, it shows that the tourists have very great confidence in Israel and they like, and I think that they enjoy themselves very much also in Israel. And they are the best ambassadors of Israel, the tourists.
That wall became then known as the Wailing Wall.
travel on the freeways in Los Angeles, you can go anywhere in the world. It's just as dangerous.
And you, Marion?
Well, I have relatives here who I've never met, and I wanted to meet them. So I came to see them. That's it.
And do they bring back stories that it is safe to come here?
Well, I'm with a group of travel agents, and the prospect or the feeling is one of complete freedom and security, and it's a pleasant journey for them and for us. And our tourists do come back, and they read the headlines with some disbelief that this is the country they just came from.
Tonight, WJRJ Television has presented A Salute to Israel on her 22nd anniversary.